Hey, it's Will here. Today, I really want to go into three ways that you can position yourself to create a seven-figure e-com business. Before we get underway, we developed a seven-figure e-com business straight from our kitchen bench, and we now help e-com businesses do the same. So if you're interested, book a time below. So let's get into it. So there's three ways that you can position your brand or your business to create seven figures within your e-commerce brand and flourish into the future. One of these things is to be the first. So you're either the first in your market, first product development, whatever it may be, you're just the first mover, the first mover advantage we call it. By being the first, you can educate the market and therefore build affinity with you as that source of truth or as the very first, the original, and therefore the best. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. Now, you don't necessarily have to be the very first, but one of the first is certainly a big advantage. This happened in our experience when we entered the cold pressed juice business in Melbourne, Australia. It was relatively new back in 2013. There were one or two others that had big budgets, were backed, come into the market, copied a couple of concepts from overseas that actually worked to our advantage in actually educating the market, but we were still at a point in time where we were considered as one of the first movers, so one of the originals. And then over time, people created affinity to us for that reason. They heard information first from us. They bought from us first. They had connections with us first. So that became a huge advantage of us being in that first movement, I suppose. So number one is first mover advantage. The second is purely the best. Be the best in a market. If you're going to enter a crowded market, particularly, you want to make sure that you are the best in that market. So that's one way that you can obviously convert people from what they're currently doing or currently purchasing or who they're buying from to come to you. Once they've had a good experience with you and they've realized that you're better than anybody else, then you are set up for success. They won't go anywhere else unless obviously somebody comes over the top of you, but it's your job to be able to retain them as a customer for life. So to be the best. And that obviously gives you advantages around pricing structures, around loyalty for life in terms of lifetime values. But whenever a new product comes out, people are going to most likely come and buy it. You think of the Apples of the world, for example. They're probably two, if not three of these categories, but certainly the first mover advantage and certainly, the best in their respective industries. And so you can see that really clearly that by being the best, price is not ever even a barrier to anybody. They just want it. And because they know it's going to be a great product, it's going to be the best. And then I guess contrary to that actually is the third one, which is the cheapest. So this isn't certainly one that is recommended or something that we follow the advice of. But if you're the cheapest, you're going to get runs on the board. You're going to make sales if your product or business is, I guess, comparable to other ones in the industry and you're simply just the cheapest. But obviously the implications this has is on your margins, particularly. If you are not running so profitably and you're still suffering, a race to the bottom, then that's not going to be great for your margins. You might get quite high sales and even high revenue, but I've seen $100,000 a month businesses, create that many sales and yet not actually be profitable because there was a race to the bottom. They had so many competitors in the market that they were offering discounts. They were just trying to get runs on the board, have good reputations with manufacturers, and yet they were running almost at a loss, if not just breaking even on $100,000 a month. Right? So this is one of the things to generate a seven-figure business, but profitability and margins is another thing. So I guess in summary, there's the three mechanisms that you can use to position yourself to create a seven-figure business in e-com. The first one is to be the first mover advantage, or one of the first to associate you as that original source of information or product. The second one is to be the best. Pretty simple. Be the best, people will come back, you'll have a business for life. And the third one is to actually be the cheapest. Okay, so where obviously margins allow and where you can actually strategically push that to be your point of difference, then that is one way to go as well. But that of the three would obviously be the least desirable, the least recommended. But as the example I just used, it's actually a really valid one to create a seven-figure e-com business. So they're the 3 ways to position yourself. Hope that helps. Any questions, let me know. As I say, if you want help building a 100K a month eComm brand, 7-figure eComm brand, we've been there. We've seen it all. Feel free to book a time below, and look forward to you then.